Last time on TWD. After evolving from armor, feathers, and a Santa hat, Shiva has reached her next form, all white. Magnus better beware as the rivers will run red due to Lacerate. Enemies beware! If you are caught within these claws, it will cause a nasty infection that will leave you dead in a ditch. No amount of Neosporin is gonna save you. Is this Shiva's final form? On the next episode of TWD. Hey everybody, Troy Boy here, the Troy you can trust, back with another Walking Dead Bonus Map video, featuring the newest edition of Shiva. Bleed has now entered the game, ladies and gentlemen, and to anyone that has been able to get the Shiva, I think you'll have a lot of fun with her, as honestly, I do not see a lot of people dropping their stun and confuse resist or bleed resist when it is currently the only threat from one survivor. I really do like that they made the first real bleed threat Shiva. From a real life standpoint, I like the idea that you can get hit by cat claws and then just bleed out, whether it's from a deep cut or infection, as I think we've all had our experiences with getting diced up by a cat. Asshole cats. The number Shiva can put up with her bleed alone is pretty insane, but she does lack crowd control completely with her adrenaline rush or weapon, so I feel if you are going to bring other damage dealers, try to fit in some stuns or confuses from other green trait survivors, or blue if you happen to have a Garrett leader with some impair weapons or disarm Michonne with her confuse gun. From a base stat perspective, for a damage dealer, her numbers are looking really nice, and very identical to Rick Rise of Power, which shall let us know from a base stat perspective that Rick too is also packing some heat, and using these two together can be a lethal combo in terms of damage output. Highest defense output out of all the damage dealers, but with the lowest health pool. Also, I am starting to see Yellow make a nice climb to the top here for the time being. There are 19 fast and alert survivors currently, and 19 is the highest number we have of a trait. In terms of versatility for right now, Fast by themselves has 9 survivors with leadership skills, which is the next trait, is Alert having only 6. Tough is struggling in numbers, which is one of the reasons why I would imagine out of the 10 new 5-star Ascendables that are coming soon into the game, that half of them are tough. So I think free to play will be making the climb into the tough section, and looking at the charts, Fast should be getting a second medic here and in their first command for a 6-star very soon. At least I hope. So make sure when the Andreas, Kennys, and Hunters come back into the game in their 6-star form, make sure you have some solid fast survivors to counter them. And Shiva makes a counter for them when they are released. So now for one of the best parts to talk about, her adrenaline rush. Okay, so we have another multi-attack coming into the game that isn't a disarm, so I am sorry Dwight, you are not a unique special 6-star snowflake anymore. Shiva having a 600% hit on her 2k base stat will just make tough survivors suffer if you were to run an attack leader, attack combat mods, and leave the attack on her claws. Now for the second part of her adrenaline rush, the bleed damage. This is great. Okay, so this is really, really good, as this is leading towards diversity. There is now a way to eliminate an enemy other than just basic attacks, or taking them out with a typical raw damage, instant damage, and Shiva can do both here. So this bleed mechanic, which I kind of like to call it, it's just like a true damage over time, and it can stack. So now when I say true damage, what I mean is regardless of the person's defense, the damage that it states is the damage that will be done. Another unique side to the bleeding is it'll ignore bonus health and just start chewing away at the survivor's actual health pool. Since we are in the topic of bleeding, let's talk about her specialist skill, Lacerate. Double your damage, double your fun. Glad. This specialist skill is offensively unique. As for it to be effective, we will need to either have mediocre bleed damage over time with a good bit of turns, like 3 or 4 turns, or something more along the high bleed damage that will only last 1 or 2 turns. We can double the effect of the bleed so that it can build up and apply some damage and create some major pressure on the enemy. Her active, if it ever gets to that point, and Shiva is still alive, and you also have a command alive, I can safely say I think the match will probably be over. Landing it so that you can adrenaline rush her on turn 5, or command her adrenaline rush on turn 4, and then use her active and command her adrenaline rush on turn 6 is just a high burst of damage. Plus at this point, 1 or more enemy should be dead. There's a good chance that the bleed damage will overlap. This Shiva is very effective against tanky team comps. So these tanky team comps that have Magnas and Koas, along with Carls and Erica leader comps, are a perfect example on how this Shiva can shine. So you have high defense team, bonus health, a Magna, stacked with stun, impair, confuse, resist. Well, odds are that team will become Shiva poo. So counters to Shiva. If you are ever to encounter a Shiva, there are some things that you can do. So here's just some quick people that are, you know, decent or at least can hold their own weight versus this Shiva. Jessie. Now, don't get me wrong, she isn't bad. You may think she just could get mollywopped and then die because she's a blue Shiva's a yellow. Well, she does have tenacity, so unless you're going to follow up some damage on it, and the bleed damage is going to happen after she attacks, she has a good chance of popping her Adrenaline Rush to heal up some damage, and clear any stuns and clear any bleeds that is applied to anybody. Command Glenn. His active is Recover Bleed to 3 people. Should be more than enough to clean up any damage and have some damage control over bleed. And then also Morgan as well with Recover Bleed. And that should pretty much take care of anybody for counters when it comes to Shiva. So like I said before, I'm not going to change my combat mods to resist bleed. I would rather do something along the lines of bring a Recover Bleed active like Glenn or Morgan, or someone with an Adrenaline Rush that can clear bleeds. So if you pull for her and get her, I can only imagine some of the crazy high bleed stacks you're going to get with her. There are some things you do need to know when using this character. There might be some confusion with Lacerate, so let's clear some of that up right now. Lacerate seems to only proc once per turn, so if you were to use her then command her again, it will not just double the bleed. Do not apply bleed mods on Shiva, as the bleed mods only will last 1 turn, and they are applied after the attack. So the bleed mods will never benefit from Shiva's Lacerate. If you apply them to everybody else, such as on your teammates, those survivors can set up a nasty 1 or 2 turn kill due to the anal bleeding and a safe play from Adrenaline Rushes. As with Shiva, a huge portion of the damage, if we're going to go the bleed route, will be applied after the enemy's attack. So they will not benefit from the AP gained from the bleed damage on that turn. It'll be the next turn that they'll be able to benefit from it. So if you happen to go up a team comp that runs AP when taking damage buffs, we can allow ourselves to have a portion of our damage to be applied after they attack, which allows a less likely chance for them to use an Adrenaline Rush. Shiva on defense. I know some of you out there are all about the D, and you really want to make it work with her, and I understand your determination, as I will be trying to make it work on defense eventually, after having my fun on attack and understand her full potential the best that I can. But if you're going to throw her on defense, then I think we will need to put all reliance on her bleed damage. Make her claws tanky, slap some HP and defense combat mods, and prioritize Confuse Resist so you do not bleed your own team out. So with my roster that I currently have, and with Shiva now joining the roster, this is going to be my fast team that I'm going to be working with, or at least working towards. And I want to test it out, and I'll probably tweak it here and there, but for right now, this is the goal. So what I'm working towards with my team here is with Rick leader, I'm going to try to go double AP on attack. So turn 2, I will command Rick, pop some elusive, slow the other team down, kill somebody turn 2. Turn 3, Connor, Sandy, and Shiva's Adrenaline Rushes will all pop off. Their team should pretty much be non-existent at this point, and then I'll just, collect my rep and then move on. So that is the rundown of Shiva, and I want to thank you all for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, it made you laugh and you or anything positive, please give it back to a righty chop to that like and subscribe button. Be sure to leave a comment down below. It's greatly appreciated. And other than that, I'll catch you all in the next video.